Oh my God, it's been such a long time since I did a longer video. So, for all of you 70 followers that do not like or comment on my videos, maybe you don't even watch them, I would like to make a video about living, which people take for granted because they think they're living. But you see, if you are free from resistance and you live a spiritual, intuitive life, which makes you connected to self, so the distance between your true self and your human experience is slim to none. You actually don't need to think that much. You actually live. You actually enjoy an intuitive experience, which is what I would describe as trippy. And today I have consumed like 3 oranges, 2 green apples, some noodles, pasta, and an energy drink with BCAA, I believe it was. And I'm on the trip. I'm on the trip. I have consumed psilocybin mushrooms about, I guess it's about 350, 370 times, with all purpose to comprehend the human experience and my unique perception of experiencing my own unique universe, with journaling and introspection and feeling for what it's worth, feeling everything, feeling it all for everybody. And from that, I have created transmutation.se. So I have a great deal of experience, and the colors and the light and the air and everything to me now is just like that. And I have had some fruit and some carbs. And I am sitting in an apartment all packed up. There are some furnitures I am about to give away, hopefully to a guy who contacted me today. But I have given away most of my stuff now. And I have packed, well, what's left. And I have 1 week to stay in this apartment, and then I'm getting evicted. And I don't have anyone to ask for help. I don't have any money. I have no place to store all of what is left. And that's my situation. And I have zero worry. I don't have any worry. I don't have any fear. I don't have any anxiety at all. Because I have been through it all. And then somebody might say that, well, you haven't been in the Vietnam War. You were not a part of the apartheid. You have not experienced the Holocaust when the Jews got slaughtered. And I have been through it all. For all. For real. Emotionally. Because I have been to the bottom of all. That's why transmutation.se and what is written there exists, because I took the plunge in the darkness. And people watching this will say that some form of judgmental comment will come out of that as I explain what I have been through emotionally, as they view this video and have not taken part of transmutation.se at all. And that's people. That's people. This amount of comprehension is what they have. But they behave like the king and queen of the world. Complete moronic idiots. Most people are. They are not, but they behave like that because they are identified egos. And I have said this in multiple videos before. You get what you give, and when you focus on what you do not desire, it expands. And people do not want to live in an ego society, which has created the ego society, because you get what you give. And some people don't understand what I just said there. They don't understand. They can't comprehend that simple. If you look at this, and this is something that you do not desire, and then you look at this, and this is what you desire. If you talk about this, if you invest your energy, you get a return on investment. And that's a given. That's a given. The source of all creation is non-conceptual, unconditional love, which just gives. And it doesn't give a shit about anything, because the world is supposed to be a paradise where you as a soul being can come and explore and enjoy nature freely. But then somewhere along the way, people have created ideologies that made the source of all creation, which is pure love, into something outside of us. And that ideology has spread and branched into becoming an upside down tree, which is basically standing with the back against the mirror, stating that I'm looking myself in the eyes. It's like telling yourself that the crown of the tree is defined as the root system, and the root system is the crown of the tree. It is idiocracy. If you have seen, I really recommend you watch the movie Idiocracy, because it's already here. It's not in the distant future. Idiocracy is already here. In that movie, they don't have any crops, so they can't eat vegetables anymore, because they water the plantations with soda. And the plot of the movie is that the most moronic, idiotic guy in the world as of prior to when the movie takes place gets frozen. And when he wakes up, he's the smartest one of all. That's not development. And we have made ourselves into the technology, which is being identified egos and not affirming what we is. We is love. We is soul. You cannot point to yourself here. You point to yourself here. And inside this area is where you feel. And that is actually experiencing. This is just the data. It's the processor. But what is humane? What is human? Is it the processor, or is it the emotional, vivid, colorful, warm, wonderful, spectacular experience? Even if you experience colors and patterns in multiple dimensions, it's still pointless and empty without emotion. It's the emotion that makes it an experience. If you take away that, you are left with some form of, I don't even know. I can't explain it because I am human and I am a soul being and I am love. I cannot explain the opposite because I'm not a robot. Most people are inverted. You are supposed to have about 5% of rational, logical structure within you as to make for snap judgments, just like, no, that's not okay and that's okay, based on your alignment with yourself without resistance, because that makes you have integrity, respect, moral ethics in relation to what is constructive and destructive in relation to specific age groups, and that is combined with humor and sex. But if you need to think about some form of action regarding that in a situation that is giving you so much to calculate over the period of a couple of weeks or a month, then you are having a bunch of resistance. You are not a moronic idiot, but you might behave like it and you might act upon it. But that is all because of irresponsibility, because a human being carrying resistance is actually carrying contradictory emotions, which has a subconscious contradiction in relation to the true nature of pure, unconditional, non-conceptual love, which is the image of God, which you is, because you are God. I am God, we are God. And we are God experiencing itself through this avatar, the human body. And if you are connected with that, then you close the circle, and the circle, the sphere, the quantum, whatever, becomes all positive, which means that everything goes through you and you become a medium, and the medium is, it's like everything is in harmony and in balance. And if you look at this pyramid, it's a triangle of equal sides, and that is the strongest structure in the universe, which means perfection, which means harmony. And if you listen to the word medium, it's in the middle, it's the middle path. And you have essentially 3 positions as to identify yourself as a human being, and that is as a sexual being, or as a personal being, or just as a being. So you can identify yourself as the name and the personality, which is forever a lie because it doesn't exist. My personality has developed somewhat as to the previous version before I started recording this video. So you always evolve and unfold. So the person prior to me putting my finger on the record button is not existing anymore. I am only now. And a sexual being is somebody who is stuck so low from all of the resistance because of contradiction, which does not mean that if they are sexually attracted to somebody of the same sex as them, that they are sick. This is something else. But if you identify yourself as a sexual being primarily, or at all, I would say, then you are having a sick behavior. If you are identifying yourself as the personality and the rational logical structure of what constitutes that, then you are having a sick behavior. And both of those are in contrast and in opposition of each other. But as a medium for self of unconditional, non-conceptual, pure love, which you is, you need to affirm yourself as self. It's not that hard. But you need to say, this is what I is. And then I have a pee-pee, I have a penis, I have a brain, I have beard, I have... It doesn't matter. If you affirm and accept and acknowledge yourself as self, then you're all right. And then you actually appreciate everything around you, because you are at the position of no position. You are in singularity, not in duality, in relation to what you is naturally. So what comes with that, except a loving, wonderful experience despite any circumstances and situations like I have described what everything is for me right now? Well, you are so tight with your true essence that when you walk up to yourself as being yourself, your human body, and looks yourself in the eyes, but stays connected without contradiction, then what you say to yourself in the eyes is true, more or less straight away. It's not like if you lie to yourself, if you're full of lies, full of contradiction, full of irresponsible, immature behavior, thinking that you live, then you will not listen to yourself. And that's super great, because if you are bullshitting, you are not supposed to be led to further opportunities in life, as this is destructive in relation to nature, which is what you is. Nature is not like the trees and grass and birds. Nature is true nature. So source, inner being, self, source, universe, love, it's all one. It's all one and the same. And you are this, you is this without separation. If you connect with this, then you become as you renunciate and lose what you isn't. So there is nothing to attain and accomplish. You simply get rid of whatever you are not, and then you just is. And how to do that is to become aware primarily of everything that I'm speaking of in this video, and all of that is available on transmutation.se and all of the rest of my videos, and all of the music with Can You See the Colors? And then you begin to affirm. And when you affirm, you start to whisk in the bullshit. You start to disturb the bottom of the ocean, and it comes up, which is the fear, guilt, and shame that is holding on in protection and defense from hurt, but has a consequence of creating illness over time because it gives a general tension which tightens the blood vessels, and the blood vessels has the blood has minerals, and it gets stuck and the blood coagulates and it causes inflammation and gives cancer, and it gives stroke and tumors and Alzheimer's and all disease, because it's all about tension. So you need to relax. And how to relax and do this affirmation work? Well, you affirm yourself as what is true about you, this regardless of what you feel. And eventually, as the bottom of the ocean of all the gravel comes up, is the effect of positive affirmation. And when that comes up, you do your best as to understand it without connecting it to any form of justification. Because if you do that, you will not be able to forgive it. And when you forgive it, then you release it, and then it's gone. And the rational mind has a really hard time believing this, because it says, we have been through this so many times and we have done this before. But if it's still there, then you haven't. And in truth, it's actually layers of anger, sorrow, anger, sorrow, anger, sorrow. So you have anger and sorrow as a cake, a hold in relation to betrayal, which you need to understand and forgive as to release. And when you do that, you come to grace. And what creates you coming there is humility. And when you come to that grace, you come to another level down. As you come closer from that renunciation, letting go, and you will be able to affirm yourself right there. So let's say an individual has 5 strong experiences of trauma, and these are traumas that have happened in specific ages. So math is not my thing. So 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, and maybe that's one more. I don't remember. I'm not good at calculating. But you see, you take care of that layer, and there's a hurt 30-year-old there. So you take care of those layers in humility, as humility makes you understand. And then you forgive, and then you release that emotion. And people are like, how am I gonna release an emotion? Do I puncture my arm? It's like you go through it, you feel the emotion, you meet the emotion. Love is not created, it's met. So it comes up and it's contradictory to love. So you meet it with love, which has no judgment, because God cannot judge. The source of all creation, which is you, and you are created in the image of that. So it's all the same. You are God having this experience, experiencing itself. It's pure, unconditional, non-conceptual love. So if you do not judge the emotion, then you naturally meet it. And when you meet it, it gets heard, it gets seen, it gets felt. And it can be really painful, and it feels like your heart is gonna burst, but you need to do it. And you cry, and you cry it out. It's like a dish rag, and you squeeze out the the shit that's in the rag. And then you go through the process again, and eventually you have a clean dish rag, if you get that metaphor. But after every layer of anger, sorrow, humility, understanding, forgiveness, grace, you also need to affirm and acknowledge that individual. The 30-year-old needs to hear, I am good enough, I am wonderful, I am spectacular, I am beautiful, I am love, I am light, I am truth, I am all good. And mean that. And you can say, well, I'm going to do all of them today. So I'm going to talk to all of them today. And I'm just going to take that list of what you just said, and I'm going to tell it to all of them. And I'm going to be free by this afternoon. Yeah. How many traumatic emotions will you go through? This is not, you are a humane being, a soul being of emotion. You are not a piece of data. So this will not happen. Why this is not functional is because that would make life as an entirety dysfunctional. And some people would still, even though they have seen all of this, ask why. Why is that? Well, is comprehension and emotional understanding a good thing or not? If you look at a dictator which lacks emotional connection and works almost purely out of rational logical structure, present and contribute to a loving experience? No, they don't. So what is their problem? Emotional understanding. So they have achieved a great deal of greatness as in influence in the world, which has been approved, and they have established themselves as that character, some even famous internationally. Why is that? Well, they are so powerful. No, they are the least powerful, you see. So what's the problem? What's the hiccup? It's people that think they live. That's how they get the spotlight. In a false identified self-image and negative perception, and receiving that much publicity, that's everybody else, not them. Because it's contradictory to nature, but still gets the stage and arena as to be seen. That is a lot of sorry ass people which lack humility and keep everything bottled up and actually condense themselves and others all day long, instead of actually being what they are stating they are, as in relation to the definition of being mature: moral, ethical, having integrity, knowing what respect is, having reverence in relation to other people, actually grown up. Most people have not grown further than, in my experience, like 10 tops. Some are like teenagers, and a lot of people are like 5, 6, 7. And that's because we have created a society that works primarily as to affirm achievement and performance. So instead of being a loving parent, as in leading with actual example and letting the child develop naturally as to explore and test the world and find out and enjoy flavors and colors and everything, we focus on ourselves as, am I a fantastic mom or dad, and kill the spirit of the child. And when a parent is constantly all over the child in comments about what they are doing wrong and all of these things, is the desire to tell the child, if you do this, everything will be all right. But it's return on investment, because they see the patterns, the behaviors of the child that reminds them of what they struggled with, and this is what they desire the least for the child to inherit. And then they focus all of their attention and energy on what they do not want. And what does the child learn from that? It learns to work itself to death and not affirm itself as the loving being that it is. And if that happens hard enough, dark enough, you get the dictator. And everybody has a choice to initially begin to say to themselves, I love life. I love living. I love love. And I want to live as much as possible. And that is not a Shark Week on the Discovery Channel. But the rational, logical mind makes that into that, because it makes superficial experiences into, well, that's probably what it was like. You know, you don't have to go on that coral reef dive. You just been. Because the rational mind is an idiot. It's a moronic idiot. And hence the population of people not growing up, mistreating life, mistreating nature and everything, because they are identified with their personality, their cognition, neocortex, the least amount of who you is. All of your experiences in the world are a result of habitual emotional content, which is like your algorithm. The algorithm in your YouTube app or Instagram app is a manifestation of that, more or less. The subconscious mind is habitual. When I wake up at night and I need to go to the bathroom, I don't go to every other room and corner and open the fridge and whatever before I eventually end up at the right spot. Because I have developed the habit of being very tired and almost unconscious and just getting up and walking and having a pee. That's habitual. But in the same way, I love myself, I am beautiful, I am wonderful, things work out for me. And no matter what, it's always at the last minute, and things are just becoming better and better. And it's getting brighter, and I am together with the love of my life. Money is coming to me. Everything I have created is world famous, and people want to talk to me. People are inspired by who I have created myself to be and what I have become and what I am available as to contribute with in a dialogue conversation that makes for easy comprehension of what is actually needed as to make life better, which stems from loving it and appreciating it and feeling that life is good from the beginning, and that is actually getting rid of resistance, which is all of the contradictions as to what is meant to be a paradise. And all of what I just said there, I felt. When I say it, I mean it. So that becomes habitual. And people not aware, they do this all day long, but going backwards because they are talking shit in condemnation and judgment about themselves and others with a strong negative emotion, which becomes habitual and becomes your inner world, which gets projected from the general state of feeling as a communication to the source of all giving unconditional energy. And you get a return, which is a reflection, and you experience life. That's how it works. So when you are on your knees and you are crying to God and saying, God, help us, this is terrible. I have been there too, so I'm not being condescending. When you are there and you say that I don't want this anymore, and this is terrible, and this is painful, and I can't make it, I'm not going to make it through, and this is too much, I can't handle it, then God is just, God is love. So it cannot give you a solution of complete contrasting experience in relation to where you are actually positioned in your emotional comprehension. And that's why understanding is a part of life, because it's a journey, it's an experience, it's actually, you will not jump stages. You need to understand why you are there. Why is that? Well, because you are God. You are God experiencing itself in your unique way, unique soul expression. And you create your own reality. So why is emotional comprehension very important then? And you cannot put that as in relation to somebody else's responsibility. Well, because they are not creating your reality. But if you wish for them to create your reality and you do not participate in your own life, then you get what you get. And in relation to your current emotional comprehension of your own unique experience, which is either freeing or condemning, and makes for tension or relaxation, which is all coming from and back to the heart, because the heart is what attracts. The mind is electric. Its thoughts are electric and emotions are magnetic. So you need to be charismatic in relation to yourself, and then you will get a life of charisma. So I'm sitting here in my circumstances and situations that I told you about, and I have no idea about anything, and I feel fantastic. That's a charismatic experience all by myself, gotta say, because it's just gonna be wonderful. It's just the pivot. It's the pivot. Back here. If you go up here, you have, this is actually accurate by color as well, because it's red, which is low frequency, and then you have orange, yellow, green, blue, and violet, which are, if you look at from here to here, it's your groin, your stomach, your below your heart, I don't remember the English word, above your belly button. And then you have your heart, and then you have your expression, your voice, and then you have your thoughts and emotions, that your imagination. And if you use this system correctly, as you see there, she has painted like coins here, then you give yourself credit because you value yourself and you feel that you deserve in relation to yourself, becoming one with the sun. Because the sun is non-conceptual, unconditional, pure loving energy, positivity, positive energy, which you is. So you make yourself into what you is. It's not like a super surprise. You're born like this. And then you have your life journey, which involves various forms of trauma in relation to your specific sensitivity, and makes for a challenge. And that is called a destiny. And destiny exists. And people are like, yeah, destiny cannot exist. Life is not like that. It is, but in multiple selections, because you have free will. You can choose. So you can choose to kill yourself, and you can choose to live as much as possible. And then it depends on how much faith you have and trust in your own nature. If you do not have that at all, then you turn yourself off, which is survival. It's survival skill that creates the suicide. Because the rational mind cannot comprehend emotion, so it kills you in pain as to free you. And it actually frees you. You return to source, but you lose your human experience. But the mind cannot comprehend that. But maybe, no, there is no like, no. Then it's nuancing there in between. And that's thought, that's belief. Like I can believe myself to, I can have the intention of lifting my right arm, waving hello. Then I will have a thought about that, because it's always energy. So I have the soul intention, which is the energy. And as you notice, that initiates the thought and emotion. So who is initiating? Well, that's me, aware of the initiation. But I'm not separate there. So you see, that's God. So I initiate a nuclear process of, I want to lift my right hand and wave. And then you think about it, and then you have a vision, seeing yourself doing it. And then you let it go. And that's manifestation. That's all manifestation. It's like, oh my God, I can do that. And like somebody can ring the doorbell and open, and I will have a briefcase of $5 million. That's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. But it requires a bit of faith and is not created as in relation to perception as to be as likely as doing this, because the world would be upside down and corrupt, and there would be airplanes landing in people's backyards, and all of a sudden there would be a tiger in my bedroom and monkeys in the bathroom, and I would the windows would melt and I would be able to go out through them without shattering, and then they will close and morph back again. And an experience like that would mean like, well, what if I cannot control myself and I think about losing my feet on the ground and just going straight through the earth? You would. So there has to be some laws of physics in relation to a third dimensional density, which gives us the experience of time that we experience. And that makes for, in relation to perception, various things to be manifested differently as to make things more or less attainable, or else everything would just be chaotic. But that's all, folks. I got tired now. I lost interest. I've been doing these videos, and I have been writing so much, and I've been doing so much music, and I have experienced so much resistance, and the resistance is all you, because you doubt. And mostly it's religious people of all variety, because it's the guy in the sky, it's the Father God, it's the Shiva, it's the Allah, it's the Father God, it's the whatever, always out there somewhere in the clouds or something. This is hell. This is Satan. And this is God. This is heaven. And this is nature and harmony, which can only be experienced in relation to having a human experience. Sex is something that comes along as we mature and is loose, because it needs moral integrity, ethics, and reverence as to be an experience not destructive. If we identify ourselves as God but do discard all of what is harmonic, then we can have sex with anybody, anytime, anyhow. If we are locked in our sexual identity and not moral and do not affirm our true selves, then we will experience pain in relation to what is primal but yet full of fear, and we might act out on that and rape somebody, because this is love and this is fear. So this is lie and this is true, and this is living life as good as possible without any resistance or constant achievement and accomplishment. We are just okay as we are, which we is when we are that in relation to ourselves, which is what human beings place outside of them, especially in religious ideologies, which is just a bunch of ideas in a thick book. That's all it is. Because when you affirm yourself as God, you come close to love, which you is. which is all about trust. And then you trust yourself and you get inspired by your own making in relation to how it makes you feel alone, and not in relation to the rest of the world affirming your existence as to be good, loved, appreciated, and accepted. You have the capability to do that yourself because you're not in contradiction to your own true nature, as you have actually taken on the challenge as to follow your destiny of faith, which is not religious. It's not. And God is unconditional, non-conceptual, all-giving, positive energy that is giving pleasure, which we call love. And love is not sex. Sex is not love. But love is free. Sex is free because freedom of choice, free will, is necessary as to make for misunderstanding and understanding, having a human experience, being a humane being. Otherwise, this would not be an experience. Then we would not, what's the point? So what are you after? Well, you're after satisfaction. What kind of satisfaction? I want to have sex. I want to have sex this afternoon. And I can't hold it in. I can't control this. This is just too much. I gotta have sex. I gotta have sex in an hour. And that's superficial living, where you affirm yourself as a sexual being in a great need. And the situation where I am right now is not specifically sexual, but I could have been so stressed financially because I don't have money, I don't have anybody to ask, I don't have anything more to sell. Well, I have my phone and my computer, but I want to keep those as long as possible because I like recording videos, writing things, and making music. So it's not all that bad, but I don't have any place to live. So I could be all stressed out. But that is also from a great need. And that's, oh, I need money. I gotta have money. I need a place to stay. But I don't need that. I want to have sex in the future, believe it or not. And I want to have a home. And I want to have money. But those are all haves. I want to, I wish, I desire it all. I desire everything. I want to swim in turquoise water and share a banana with a sloth. But what I need is love. I need love. Need is something that sometimes is defined as negative. Oh, you're so needy. That's negative. Well, in relation to stuff, superficiality it is, because it becomes cravings and impulsive behavior. But what you need, and what is always okay 24/7 until you never cease to exist, is to need yourself, to need self, to need love, to need God. You need that. And if you need that in a lot of sorrow, then you need to lose resistance firstly. And when you lose resistance, joy, happiness, and love, and how I describe my day-to-day, just comes. It just comes. I would not be here in these kind of circumstances and recording this video, if I had not taken responsibility as to take care of what was on my heart. It's like we say, what's on your mind, but what's on your heart? What are you carrying? Which is in relation to your sensitivity, your destiny, and your grand perspective as to feel as much as possible and do something about it, which is to process that as to release it and change the energy in pressure, making coal into diamonds as to make the world a better place. And also share what you have been through as to give more understanding to other people, and that's not ego. But how on earth would I be able to share that without myself? Would I have created transmutation.sc without my name and picture? Who would have read that? Who would have looked at that? Should I have recorded all of these videos with a mask and a secret location? Would that have made it easier for you? You see, if I look at a video like this, I get inspired. If I look at a video like this, I don't see somebody trying to get some spotlight. It depends on what you are sharing. It depends on what it contributes to, with, of, but people are quick to judge, super quick. That's why I have created Please Let Me Be Gay in the beginning of transmutation.se, because people will look at that and just like, oh my God, he made this website and it's so large and he's been through so much because he want to come out as a homosexual man. If you click on it, you will see I've written like, it's 1 or 2 pages, that piece. And it says, I love women. Gay means happy. Don't steal words that are in the essence of existence in relation to pleasure. Gay means happy. I've even offered a new word for same-sex relationships. I call it sway loopy, because it's the same way, but it's not productive as in reproductive. So it's same way and it loops, sway loopy. But I feel that it's perfectly all right for same-sex sway loopy couples to adopt kids, because that's lovely. Somebody who makes all of this homophobia, I believe it's from Father God from the beginning, because it's a general imbalance internationally. And then the word gay, which means happy, and then you need to be sexually identified as to be happy, which is extremely contradictory to your true nature, which is pure love and has nothing to do with sex. 1 hour now. I have been given so much visions, so much lucid dreams, so much guidance, so much help from everybody, from Tupac to Diana to ECE to a lot of people, because nobody ever has the possibility to die. We can only croak, as Esther Hicks says. We can cease to exist as a human being, but we are a soul being. And so soul beings are created in the image of God, which is like a mini sun. And you cannot take energy and pour it in a bucket, like 2 buckets, and separate it. Yeah, I have this bucket of energy and there's another bucket. Energy cannot be divided. That's why it's one love, one soul, one God, because it's all one. And that means that it's never born and cannot die. As the universe continues to expand its own existence by experiencing itself through us and other beings on other planets. Yeah, because the one living so superficially that they believe that this is it and there cannot be anything else, that's just, oh my God. That is like being an ant living in the forest between 2 trees and just stating that, well, this is it. It's like, maybe that's not the best comparison, but small-minded, narrow-minded, which is somebody identified with their rational thinking mind. And it makes them stupid because it makes them intellectual in majority, which a humane soul being isn't. It's intelligence. And intelligence is the equivalent of feminine energy. And intellect is the equivalent of masculine energy. Masculine is material, feminine is spiritual, and has nothing to do with man or woman. I have heard and met and experienced a lot of women who say, yeah, but we have this intuitive, and I just wanna, I get pissed actually. I'm so tired of this. Because in my experience, and I've been around for 42 and a half years, the majority of my interaction with human beings has been in relation to masculine women, because they are so superficial with their tits and their long hair. So many of them lack the humility because they think that they are already it. And if you think that you are already it because of your superficiality, it's really a rational definition, because it is a material thing, and is loving. It puts a halt, it's a box. Is fluid. I'm a feminine guy. I am one of the most feminine men on earth. And I love women. And I have created what I have. And I am very sensitive and emotional. That's what makes me feminine. Judgmental is masculine. And this is something that you do not look for outside of yourself. And by that, I even mean as this far as to what you have right here, or what your hair looks like. Life is from the inside out. No doubt. Doubt is lie, which is fear, which can be identified and connected to as well, which is what we define as a psychopath or a narcissist, which is a behavior, but it's an identified liar, which has so much contradiction within themselves and hurt from betrayal and neglect of their own true self, that they are not responsible enough to face their own judgment, which is not definite ever. There is no punishment, but they punish themselves from the inside out, but feel that it's everybody else's fault because they are so distant from themselves. So in Swedish, there's a word called svartsjuk, which is the darkness looking down on the light. It's like if I am light, if I identify as true and positive and love, I do not shade you. You shade you. You are welcome to stand beside me and shine as well. But people make this into somebody having the cream path here of just shrimp sandwich down the river. But people actually come from beautiful childhoods, or they have been through stuff like I have. And this is something that if you come from a background similar to mine, then you need to get rid of resistance and affirm yourself. Otherwise, it will not be a positive experience in relation to your own creation at the core of your being, without separation actually being the all-giving, positive, unconceptual, unconditional source of love called God. The loop is all yours. You are doing this. It's your movie. You're the director. You are the main character. You are the soundtrack selector. You are the script writer. You scripted everything before you got here. That's why you can ask yourself for guidance, because you have everything inside you. And there are specific soul beings that are your soul family that you connected with in relation to creating your destiny prior to coming here. And when you do right for yourself and you lose resistance, and when the time is right, then you will start to connect with them. That's just how it is. And all of this happens for the greater good. So there's a plan, because history is pre-written in that sense, but it's also pre-written as complete destruction, complete construction, and nuancing there in between in relation to free will and freedom of choice. That's why you get what you get. But we all want to have a great life, a great experience. And the world is supposed to be a paradise where we share everything and just enjoy ourselves and have a good time. And sometimes we cry and we experience like sorrow and sadness, but all in relation to what is in relation to perception, and perception is in relation to saturation, because it doesn't have to be the war in Gaza where kids are shot in the head and like a mass self-suicide in like a cult in a temple. It can be like people feeling like they can feel like everybody who lives here. I think there's 10,000 people living in the area I live in right now. And we can get so sensitive and emotional and compassionate together without being like weak. It's not weakness, it's vulnerability. That the some guy, like a young boy, not coming along because they missed that everybody was going to have a picnic on Friday, so he didn't come along, will be felt so much for everybody else like the war in Gaza. And that's just beautiful. It's beautiful to be compassionate, to be humane, and just, I get a little pressure in my throat now, and I almost start to cry because I think of that kid who didn't get to come along on that picnic, because I have such a vivid imagination and I see him there. And I used to be that kid. I was sexually abused by my parents, and I was told that I was bad growing up. And I wanted to meet my dad a lot. I love my dad. And he didn't call me. And after a year, I remember when I was like 7, he called me and he said that I'm coming this weekend and I'm picking you up after work on Friday. You can spend the weekend with me. And I don't say no, I'm not angry. I'm just so happy that I'm finally gonna meet my dad after 1 year, even though he has never called me. So I'm packing my backpack with the toys and everything, and I'm standing at the end of the street waiting for him, and he never shows. And he never calls either. And then I had 17 years of alcohol, drug, pill abuse. And then after that, I got together with the mother of our children. We have 2 children. And we were together for 14 years. We married after 13 years. And after we got married, she told me that she cheated on me from year 2. And prior to that, I have been sober and started a company that was all about universal emotional understanding. And I studied to be a therapist and a treatment assistant, and I just wanted to help people, and I wanted to make more music and everything. And I crashed so much that previously I've been working as a chef. I'm super great at cooking. I've been a chef for 16 years. And after all of that happened, I wasn't able to boil 5 potatoes because I did not believe in my own ability as this would come out as edible. And then as all of this happened with a lot of different circumstances, I am not seeing my kids because the mother of our kids feels guilty over what has happened and moves on as if she now owns the kids, and makes me into a demon because she is immature and refuses to take a look at her own dark self-perception. So it has nothing to do with her mother and father, it has nothing to do with me, but the kids come squeezed in between. And she is not connected, which means that she's separated, which means that it becomes a manifested separation. And that's a product and a manifestation created by both of us, because it takes 2 to tango. So it's not like she's evil And I was like, oh, he's such a lovely guy, like therapist and stuff. No, I was making mistakes and bullshit also. So we all create everything together. And she trusted me with money, for instance. And I was crazy about making music and techno and house. And I love to DJ with vinyl records. And I actually lied about how much salary I got. And so I actually got a little bit extra money, and I used that to buy synths, drum machines, and vinyl records. That's shady behavior. That's not okay. So we all do our part in everything. But where we are right now is just like, why not be friends? And that's also like Putin and Ukraine. Like I can define this as me being Ukraine now and she's being Putin. And if you ask her, she will probably say like, well, I feel like he's Putin and I'm Ukraine. You see? Because we are beings of love and we know what we is by feeling. But it becomes a competition when we do not take responsibility. I don't hold anything against her. I don't hold anything against anybody. I don't have a problem with anybody or anything at all. But I still encounter challenges in life from people not living, identified thinkers who think they live. And that's a problem. But I'm a positive human being. I'm a positive guy with my sensitivity and my great perspective and emotional understanding from my experiences. I also see this as a natural part of my destiny because I have gotten so much wonderful things out of it, which is videos like this and music and the entirety of transmutation.se. How else would that have been created? It could never have happened. So this was necessary. Was it evil? Sometimes it felt like it was pure evil, but it's a necessity because I needed to understand myself. I needed to go through all this. Why? Is because of energy and karma, which is something that you inherit automatic as to take care of, to understand where you come from in order to do something about it in relation to the latest generation. So my mother and father are like two 5-year-olds. They have not come any further than that. And that's not because they are retarded or anything. They refuse to be humble. They do not take any responsibility. And all of that karma is what I then need to deal with. And I do not give up. And I do that for me because it's my life. But who I have in focus is oftentimes my son. My daughter is also a part of it, but I feel that from my experience, I have been, even though it's been nuanced differently, been walking in my father's shoes in relation to difficulties and timings and stuff in relation to having kids of my own and the divorce. That's all. And I suspect that if I don't do anything about this, then I will challenge myself more with pressure, just in complete misunderstanding and feeling that life is punishing me. And then I will croak and cease to exist, and I leave all of the karma in the lap of my son. Just like my dad did with me. Because it's all energy, and the universe is you get what you give, but things never end, and is in perfect harmony and balance and equates itself. But you cannot go against it by lying, but you can always receive more if you do right for yourself, which is that you are naturally worthy, but you need to feel deserving. If you do not feel deserving as being God self, then you will not give yourself. Because you either hold on to condemnation and judgment, which becomes a hiccup on the circle of life. And you can judge like this little, like by a strand of hair. And that's like the 5% of the identified cognition that you need as in a moral integral position of self-correct affirmation, living life in harmony, which is not noticeable because it's so little. And that's the darkness that will never go away, because we will always need a new beginning, and that means that things need to end, as things are a cycle, a sequence, always. But if you judge and you condemn a lot, and you are very negative in your conductivity, that would be like having a centimeter of light on a circle this big. So that will be the hiccup of light instead. That's a dark experience. And for some people, that's like payday. Or for some people, it's like those 2 weeks of vacation each summer. It's not a life. So how to deal with it? We all quit our jobs. No, but we begin to affirm ourselves, and then the workplace and all other environments will be more loving, wonderful environments, as we are the creators, and we manifest an outside environment based on our inner atmosphere, which can be in contradiction or conducive in relation to what is positive and all giving. So imagine when you need to give it up and just trust in love, what religion has created, putting it outside and also being corrupt in so many areas, causing war, causing all of this. And religion is like it has the answer, but it hasn't, because religion is like a knife that can cut bread, or it can cut a stomach. It can stab you in the heart, or it can carve a steak. And now I go on like for 1 hour with metaphors with what you can do with a knife in contrast. No, but that's what religion is. And the problem is that people make the religion into the actual relationship instead of relating. You need to relate in life, participate in life. If you take away all the religions, God will not move at all, because God is not religious. And by that, you can see that all the religions are various branches of trying to explain the tree. So a branch is like, well, it depends on the perspective. If I look at the branch, I can see it like a mini tree coming out from the side. And if I tilt my head, I see it, it's kind of like it's going from the bottom to the top. But it's not the tree. The tree itself, the tree of life, is the tree of life. It's not one of the branches. And some might say, well, Islam is like this branch, and Christianity is that branch. It's like, well, it depends on from what angle you look at the branch. And it's also which branch is the best from all angles, including what condition all the leaves are. Well, if you look at Islam and the Quran, you can see that it has so many leaves, and it has one yellow leaf, and then there's one leaf with a maggot on it, and then there is a leaf with some fleas that are eating the top. And then you have Christianity over here, and it's actually a bunch of leaves as well. And well, that leaf has a hole in it, and that leaf is actually backwards, I can tell. It's like, that's, what are you doing? Look at the tree. Where does the tree come from? What creates the tree? By non-effort, actually, and makes the tree come alive. That is something worth investing in. And the tree is actually a projection from within you, connected to the source of all creation, which is pure inspiration that you connect with as you make the conscious, aware decision without separation as to create a thought and an emotion, raising your hand doing this. Oh my God, he's so smart, I heard somebody say somewhere in the world. Oh my God, he's such a genius. He's sorry. I don't know what to say anymore. It feels like I've said it all so many times. But it deserves to be repeated. And if you read Transmutation from the top to the bottom, as it is designed as a book that way, then you will notice that I have mentioned this a lot of times. But I have tried to put it in perspective, because it's like, yeah, I begin to believe it, and now I begin to look at it from this way, and I believe it a little bit more. And then you wrote that, which brought me back here, and now I feel like I understand it a little bit better. And now you said that, and you made that video, and you did that song, and it brings me up front here, and then you travel here and you talk about Neptune, and then I was on Saturn, and then I tried mushrooms for myself, and then I talked to my mom about it, and she gave me a perspective that and eventually you're home, like I am. But I don't live here. This is not my apartment. I'm leaving. Maybe on a jet plane. I don't know when I'll be back again. And you know what? I have felt so worthless and doubting myself so much, loving music, loving singing, that until I was about 35, I could not sing to myself in the car on the freeway. That's not a lot of self-esteem, and that's not self-love. And many times when I listen to, because I love to sing like 80s ballads and stuff, I made it through like half the first verse and then I just cried because I had so much inside me. It was so tough. I was so tensed in my heart. And little did I know when I when I was growing up that all of that was building up as to be released as transmutation.se. When I was 20 years old and I had just purchased 3 grams of amphetamine from some shady guy, and I had also found an ad which made me purchase an old compact laptop that was about this thick. And when you opened it up, it has a battery life for an hour, and the screen was like this big, but with a plastic frame this big around it. And the buttons woke up the neighbors at night because they clicked so much. And I sat there, I drank Coca-Cola and I ate pizza and I snorted amphetamine and I sat there and I wrote about people in my family. Like, I believe that mom is like this because I feel like grandma is like, and my sister is like, and maybe that's the reason that dad was, and maybe I feel like, and that has been my life since I was 7. Always. I have asked, how come? Why? You see? And that's a lot of pain. That's a lot of pain. That's a lot of pressure. And I have made mistakes. But I hope that if somebody watches this video and sees what I have created and what I comprehend today and what I have been through and where I come from, that when I perhaps told you that something that wasn't really positive, that something happened between us, that I was under a lot of pressure. It's no excuse for any type of behavior. But this is my destiny. This is who I am in relation to my destiny and sensitivity and what I've been through and where I come from. I forgive myself. And I suggest that you do too, because we cannot do anything primary in relation to another human being. It's always secondary. So it takes 2 to tango. So actually, if I forgive myself and we are not friends, we don't have to hang out every day, but maybe we can have some form of contact, like the mother of our children, then you have not forgiven yourself. If I lie to you, I need to lie to myself first. Then I lie to you. That's just the way it is. And we get what we give. And things turn ugly by God. I am not full of vengeance. I don't walk around thinking vengeance. I'm not vindictive. But I continue to do right, and I continue to contribute to what makes things better for as many as possible, which includes anyone connected to me in any form of prior relationship. And when I make everything as much as possible for everybody for free, as clear as possible, I actually include myself. But I can see myself at the end of it. standing there together with everybody else. I don't have to come first. That's why I haven't released and published a New York bestseller about all this. Because I'm not focused on money, I'm actually focused on love. It's been stressful, to say the least. $135. But as I said, I started talking about it and then I made a detour, I think. This is the uphill, which is the resistance, and the resistance increases, which is all of the negative karma that is not being taken responsibility for by previous generations. So this is like mom and dad and what they have from their heritage, and then I get born and my sister gets born, which puts a rubber band in the back of our hearts in relation to the trauma and the negative energy. And then we start to live life and journey, which can change from going here, coming to about up here, and then eventually living like somewhere here. If the previous generation takes responsibility and actually forgives. But this has not happened, and in relation to this, it makes for stress and fatigue and an increase of resistance all the way to the pivot, which is necessary evil as to make you create a clear comprehension possible to be shared for as many as possible, which is a contribution for a better world as it makes for awareness. If you're not aware, you cannot change. And if you become aware, you change. And if the contribution is so clear that you cannot deny it, then you will transform fast, because you will not fight your mind, because your mind will buy it, because it's not a bunch of shit. And then eventually the resistance cannot linger anymore, because you have done what you are supposed to do in relation to your destiny, and then you go on a date. You go on a date with destiny because you have rid yourself of resistance and gotten the diamonds out of the pressure from the darkness, creating the contribution, which is the artist. And then the pivot. So you get the opposite of this until you croak, which is the light experience in relation to the dark experience, which is not the sun shining on a blue sky, or payday, or ice cream, or I love you, please have sex with me. It's the general state of feeling, regardless. And then so both of these, this could be defined as failure, and this could be defined as success. But success is living a present experience, actually not condemning, but having a sense of humor and perspective to things, as to see it more as an adventure instead of an upcoming waterfall of fatality, you know? It's more like a surf. It's not super easy. I have been through some stuff where I can only define it as demonic, but the demon is actually demon. Demon. How does a ghost sound? Huppy doopy doopy doo, I am a ghost. No, The ghost sounds like this. Because it moans. That's why it's called demon. Demon. Because it's all about complaining. And when you complain, you don't comprehend. And then you condemn your situation and the gift of life, of actually having a human experience. There are so many soul beings who want to have a human experience. And you have the unique opportunity to have one. So please don't complain. And if a large amount of population complains and dismisses joy, really, it makes for negative karma and resistance for everybody else, because we are one spirit as we are having this human experience. So I have dealt with demons, which is demons, but you can create that even further, and that's going against nature. And you can do that in a variety. You can go to the store right now and steal a candy bar, and that's going against nature. You're not doing right for yourself. But you can also murder, which is you deciding that somebody else's life is over. that's a lot of negative consequences, because it's going against life, so it becomes a consequence. Life is sequence. And you can also go against somebody's free will, making them feel like they are doing it to themselves. So how do you do that? Well, you sexually abuse a baby. If you sexually abuse a baby, that human being will experience that pain as it's doing it to itself, because it has not developed a cognition yet to differentiate between what I am and what I have and what is outside of me or anything. Everything just is one and the same. There is no separation between, like, that's my toe. It doesn't exist. This is my hand. No idea. There is just no idea. It just is. That's why a baby is like just when it's happy, when it's satisfied and not hungry and needs to change the diaper, it's just in awe. And if you hurt that, then you will make it comprehend that experience as it's doing it to itself, which makes for a complete dark perception. And if multiple people does that, then you will have a twist again. It will not be like, I am light, and then I am dark from that trauma, and then I am dark. It will be a twist again. I'm dark, 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 if it happens multiple times. So it happened multiple times for me, and then I was also condescended for 17 years as I stayed home, and also neglected from my father, which also becomes more dark self-perception. And I am just a loving, fun guy who's very sensitive, who cries when he watches Lion King, and loves music and loves to sing and just wants to make the world a better place and have fun. And then I also actually love to have sex. And I have felt so guilty, as I have been in such dark, negative self-perception from all of those twists, that I have had a difficult time buying myself a candy bar, because I have made that into, I don't deserve this, even though I worked and had money to buy one, because I've carried so much resistance. And that has made sex quite difficult as well, because I have enjoyed sex and have been able to be in the moment, but afterwards it's just a bunch of guilt. Everything has been like that. So I say that I love my children. I say that I have been a loving father, but still I have not been able to affirm myself as the love that I is. So they have naturally felt a disconnect from me, and I have felt that I have not been able to connect with them. And I have asked the mother, their mother, when we were together, is like, why is it that she has, like our daughter, why is it that she has such an easier time? Like, she talks to you so much, but she doesn't talk to me. And that's because I have judged myself so incredibly hard in relation to my sensitivity, destiny, and where I come from, and what I have been on as a mission to create what I have created, which means that I have had a difficult time accepting her and also my son, which makes for the disconnect. So it's not that I don't accept and affirm them. I love them. For me, it's like they are just two free beings. Just be yourself. I don't have a problem. But I used to have a great deal of problems with myself, which makes me disloyal to my own true nature. And that is something that they feel. They feel that corruptive misconception inside me because they are more intuitive than I am, as they have not yet developed a strong personality of contradiction to their spiritual free nature. But I would love to meet them now. I haven't seen them in a great deal of time now. And I am a changed person. What makes for us not meeting is their mother not believing in change. That is something an individual automatically believes in when they go through it. So it means that she has not changed that much. And it's also the receipt showing up as we are not being friends. You see? So it's not like I'm better, but I'm doing the right thing. But things will sort themselves. And if she refuses to let go of her judgment and condemnation and lies in relation to herself, which has nothing to do with her parents or me, then I will hopefully see my kids when they leave and move out on their own, when they're like 20 maybe. It could be. I don't know. It's not up to me. I could start a court case about this, but I don't feel like I should be fighting for a healthy, loving, friendly relationship, which is a given if we do not judge each other and believe in change. We have to relate and not judge. Well, I relate. If you relate, you don't judge. You give everything a second chance. Multiple times. Like yourself. Give yourself another chance. Give yourself, dismiss all of this with the mother of our children and me. Give yourself another chance. Give yourself another chance. And I am not talking about grandiose goals immediately. I'm talking about weekly. Just communicating with yourself. You have everything, but you need to be humble and official in relation to yourself. And when you conduct yourself like that, you will give yourself what you need next, because you will not give to anybody not humble and loyal outside of you and also in relation to yourself, because you are not supportive in relation to what is destructive and what is dishonoring true nature, which is pure unconditional and non-conceptual love. You will, by that definition and explanation, not go against yourself. So stop blaming, stop having excuses, and start to affirm everything positive, but do not set a specific time or date. I have done this so many times. Ooh, I feel it. Ooh, I have such a great feeling. It's gonna be this Saturday. And that's just, please give me a contract that says plane crash on it and I'm gonna sign it right away. It's not gonna happen. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's so hurtful. But you learn from it. You learn to don't do that again. Keep affirming without time. Everything is working out for me. Everything is going great. Everything is getting resolved. We are becoming friends again, everybody. I forgive you all. I forgive you. I forgive you. I love you. I love you. I forgive you. I forgive you. I love you. And keep stating that I am light. I am love. I am good. I am beautiful. I am understanding. I am wonderful. You can say, I feel humble. I feel grateful. But don't say, I am grateful. I am humble. Well, it's try it out. But you cannot become grateful and you cannot become humble. You need to relate as to make those two function. And that's actually the two parts of the circle of life. It's gratitude and humility. And that saves the day. It actually makes the day. When you wake up in the morning and I have some back problems. I jumped off a bridge and I have some compression and nerves pinched in my neck from a car accident. We got hit by a truck standing still at a red light. But when you wake up in the morning and you're stiff and you need to pee and you feel like you have panic and your mind makes that panic for peeing into, oh my God, our whole existence is about to crash. And you just dismiss all doubt and you say that this is a fantastic day and it's going to be wonderful and it's full of miracles and wonderful things are going to happen for me. I have no idea what they are, but it's going to be great. I don't have to worry about anything and it's just going to be super duper wonderful. It will. As soon as you divert from that, you begin to worry. And when that worry gets a majority, as it gets elected by your freedom of choice, you start to doubt. And everything is what you make it, as you create your own reality and you get what you give. And that is an invitation. And I get so inspired and I connect with people so much, and I feel like about 3 minutes ago I hooked up to Jay West. I feel like I have hijacked him right now. It's really cool. I come to these connections every now and then. I don't control it that much, I just, so right now I am more or less like floating as spirit connected to Ye West inside of me. I see him and I hear him inside me as I speak. I can try to imitate him, but that is not necessary. We use each other. We use each other all the time. And that is because we have developed differently and have a unique perspective on everything. So I hope that Ye is still alive. I truly hope that he is, because I do not connect as much with people that are still living. Truly hope so. The more connection you want, as it is naturally given without resistance, is your true connection of trusting your own nature, and then you will be given that influence because you are a reliable source, as you are secure, which is you being connected as much as possible to your soul intention, which is for the greater good for everybody, as much as possible, putting yourself aside completely as to be a part of it at the end of it. I hope he just did something stupid, like he got unconscious for a while or something. He is a genius and he is God, but he has been communicating that with tweets. So if you're alive, you fucking idiot. Yeah, I'm up to 2 hours now with universal comprehension connected to real life stories. And you're like, well, I tweeted. For real? You feel like you made your point? I know you know, Jay. I know you feel it. But I also know that you are far from it, because I believe and I feel that maybe you have not mourned your mom. For real. I feel like there is a lot of anger and sorrow and misconception and confusion that makes you act in frustration. But I have, in doing what I have been doing, having an easier time than you, because I live in a country where freedom of expression actually exists. In America, it doesn't. And I have been doing this in the background, alone, quietly, going through it, not as a public figure, to emerge from the darkness seemingly out of nothing as to become the biggest light in the world. It had to happen like this. And if you feel sorry that you're not me, I just have to tell you, you don't. Because I still hurt. My heart is still not able to experience one day freely anymore. I get fatigued. I have blood sugar problems. I'm worn. I'm not worn out, but I'm worn. I have used myself as much as possible. I really have. 2 hours. That's enough. I thought the video I did live was a cool video, but I think this tops that. right now. I feel like that I've talked about personal issues and not condemning also, and just explaining the situation, and it is what it is and what it comes from and what it becomes and how we can solve it. So what more are you looking for? Well, I want to see you on fire, and I want to see you crucified, and I want to see you electrified, purified. I want to see everybody happy. Maybe that's a good idea. Yeah, but what? Maybe we want to see a happy world. Maybe we want to live joyfully. Maybe we want to experience a more effortless society, which includes sex as well, but not in your face, available for 11-year-old children on the phone. And maybe you can be brave enough to explore sexuality with a partner instead of spending time alone on the internet looking at condescending, derogatory behavior of people actually more or less being 5 years old, but so mature and grown up and so free that they now do porn. I don't feel like that is free. I feel like that is condemning. A healthy human being is not like, listen, I don't want to condemn videoing or taking pictures or like drawing. If I'm together with a beautiful woman and she says, "Will you draw my portrait?" I'm gonna do like a stick figure. I'm not so good at it, but if I feel you're so beautiful, and I'm gonna paint you laying on the couch here with some grapes and a molded cheese, then I will do that. But that's the same as me taking a picture with a camera of choice, and I can also make that picture move and film her. And if we feel freaky together, then we can film each other having sex, and we can look at it privately or together. But not why would you share that with somebody if not for making money? If it's for not making money and actually to be acknowledged and affirmed, oh wow, that is so contradictory to your true nature, and you will suffer consequences. And I have posted a video on transmutation.se where a lot of porn actors and actresses die at a young age because they are so full of hurt. They betray themselves because they go against themselves they're actually more or less sexually abusing themselves. You are not supposed to be, but everything is there's two sides of every story, and so porn in and of itself is not wrong because you can film each other as a couple. There's nothing wrong with that, but not post it. We don't actually need that. And that's also a part of making love first and not sex. Because if you make sex first, then love tags along. And love is what creates everything in the universe, and that is what you at your core of your being without separation is for all eternity. So you don't want to drag love along. And you don't want to drag sex along either. The best thing for everything in a mature setting is for things to go hand in hand. So if you have a loving relationship, you can be freaky deaky in the bedroom. You can do whatever you like, but you can still do it in love. You can still be in respect and dignity and listen and pay attention and maybe push some boundaries and explore, but not be condescending just because of that. If you want to role play or whatever you're into, but it's still love. which is something that is really hard, if not impossible, if you do not feel what love is in the purest non-conceptual comprehension of spiritual emotional understanding without resistance, which is justification and condemnation, which brings me to when you're actually ready to become a parent. So this was my destiny, so everything was necessary, and everything is. So, but there is a point in life where I can look back at my journey and where I am right now and say that now I am actually ready to have kids. And the universe is in perfect harmony and attraction. Everything is about attraction and invitation. So I don't know where the mother of our children is right now in her comprehension. I would never ever try to define that, because we cannot compare any experience. We cannot compare anything. But when we met, we were at the same place. That's what made us connect. That's attraction. So yeah, I was attracted by her and she was attracted, but it's energy. Then we enjoy looking at the physical bodies. And that energy that connected was both at the same misunderstanding in relation to our own false self dark perception, which connected us as to make us understand more of each other, as we could have related more in relation to ourselves and each other in humility, as to transform and turn ourselves into light individually and becoming a couple of love, positivity, secure, non-conceptual and unconditional divine flames of ready to be close to as good of a parent prior to ever having kids, but still mature enough to actually be it. And then we will not have all of these conflicts and misunderstanding that our kids will suffer from, because we would have dealt with what we needed to deal with prior to having kids, which is where I am right now. I strongly suggest that. And when you do that, also, you cannot do that by sitting in your couch. You do that by living. And you explore and you experience, which means that you do as much as possible fun stuff that you dream of doing. So when you actually have kids, you do not dream about becoming a famous DJ, because you did that when you were younger. So now you're more settled down and secure and comfortable having kids and letting the kid be the DJ. It's nothing wrong with producing music and being a DJ as you get older, but I have not been living out my dreams because I have been so afraid and actually a coward as to pursue my dreams. But that has also been in relation to condescending myself and self-loathing, no self-esteem, and actually not knowing what love hardly was. So it's understandable. 2 hours and 10 minutes soon. People have a hard time with 3-minute clips and feel like 25 minutes is, yeah. Ram Dass is one of my favorites, Alan Watts also. And they had held lectures back in the 70s, 80s, yeah, and they recorded those. And some of those are 4 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. And there are multiple lectures from Ram Dass that are 4 hours that I have listened to 10 times each. That's 40 hours of the same thing, but in a multitude. Think about that when you watch a video of mine. Don't feel guilty about it. Don't feel shame. Don't make it into you, ego. Make that into sympathy. Don't give me pity. I don't need it. Pity is guilt. Sympathy is actually love. Because it's empathy, sympathy. You try to feel and put yourself in my emotional shoes. But what I have been giving is what I have been going through and what I have put myself through, with the intention all the way that this is something that I want to give to the world, and this is something that I want to go down in history with, which is something that I actually cannot say no to and derail from, because it's my destiny. If I do that, I will have to numb myself and live a completely different life, as to discard who I am as a unique soul being on a mission on earth, actually doing what I'm doing. This is the same for everybody, but in a nuance.